Sides of everything. Alright YouTube, we're back at it. Back to the 604 L80E into my Camaro. Today what we're going to do is we're going to run through all these parts right here. A lot of them are sensors and water pump spacers, all that stuff we mentioned in the last video. If you haven't checked that out, this is episode 4 of the LS swap. So we have 3 other videos besides this one. Go back real quick, check them out. Subscribe. We got a pretty cool project going on here, and that's just with our Camaro. We got drift cars back home, other V8s, diesels, 7.3s, rolling coal, having fun. Just scroll back to some of our other videos and check out what we got going on. Dirt bikes, 2-strokes, America as it can be, I think. Pretty much get everything, all the parts that I have so far assembled onto the motor. We're gonna leave a few things out just so that way when we put it in, there's no chance of it hitting anything in the engine bay and breaking off and have to buy a new one. But we're gonna get right to it, so here we go. Okay, since I'm running the GTO water pump, and that's so that way this inlet here is pointing straight out for hood clearance on the Camaro. My buddy Brandon Tinkham and I did a little research because it actually makes the water pump pulley a little bit too far towards the motor for it to line up with the power steering, the crank, and all that stuff. What we did is went online and they actually have these right here. I said in the last video, it's literally just a spacer. It's gonna go just like that, space it out that much further that we need. It comes with extra bolts and gaskets. I did hear that this is a pretty common spot for failure. The water pump leaks on these LS's, so you just use gasket maker on both sides of everything. Now I got that new water pump and I put it on, so I already do have a clean, fresh gasket right there that we're just gonna use that one, keep it on there. But they did send us 4. So I'm just barely putting enough on there so that way there's a little bit of material between everything. So they send a little bit longer bolts too, so that's always good. I'm gonna put these bolts in first, move around on us. Like that. Other side. All right, and then once you have the bolts put through, then you can put these on. The bracket or the spacer with the set screw in it on the left side, if you're looking at the motor, so on this side. Because on this side, you're not going to be able to get at it, I don't believe so. I put it on this side, should be easier access. I'm not sure if it's for a temp sensor or what. A bleeder screw, but I put on that side so that way it's easier to be accessed at. So when I turn it around, holes on this side over here. And they do send that little set screw. So we'll start one screw on each side so that way it can hold itself up and holds the gaskets in place. So the last problem was that this pump was too far in for this pulley to line up with this one and the crank pulley down there. The next thing we're going to install on this is going to be the alternator bracket. Cast iron block, like mentioned in the last video, you do have to tap and thread a hole in the block down here. That wasn't really too hard or anything. All right, so next we got this cam position sensor. This was just right here on the top of the motor.
Just looking there.
Yeah, it was looking a little crusty on those little rings. So just to be sure, swap a new one in it. Another new sensor I gotta get yet is this right here. I believe that's the oil pressure sending unit. The cam position sensor. That's tight. Crank position sensor down here. There you go.
Does that look crusty too?
So here's a new one of those. Keep these around for spares, just in case. All right, there's that one. Let's run back over on the other side. Do this oil filter. We got a little bit of oil on our rubber O-ring there. And now we're gonna put this on.
Finally.
Tensioner pulley, but the more I look at this thing, the more I realize it's really not gonna line up. I don't think a new belt tensioner pulley's gonna make a difference. This has to be the GTO belt tensioner if you're gonna run the GTO water pump, because now this is pushed about as much as these spacers are off from all the sensor or the crank pulleys and stuff now. So 2005 GTO water pump tensioner or belt tensioner will be next on the list. I'll get that ordered in. Maybe someone has it in stock. That's about everything I can do at the moment. I have an O2 sensor sitting there, but I'm waiting on the header still. And I'm waiting on another O2 sensor for the other side.
Another set of spark plugs too.
Yep, we got 4 plugs. But we're gonna wait on the spark plugs until the motor and everything's in the car, just because they don't hang out a lot, but they do hang out a little bit, and who knows what could just get busted off. But I'm hoping we have like 2 or 3 more days before we head out back on the road, and we are gone until the snow's gone. So trying to get this done as much as I can, and then over the winter, we'll probably just pass the product on over to my stepdad, Jeremy, which you saw in the last video. And he's gonna kind of finish it up a little bit for me. So there won't be too much to do once everything comes in. It's pretty much just a bolt on. I got everything that's for the swap, so it should all just bolt on drop in and go.